Welcome to Joey's Tech. In this video, you are going to learn one of the most important and useful features of the Python programming language, decorators. I'm going to focus on the basics of decorators in this video, and then in the subsequent videos, I'm going to move to the advanced levels in the concept of decorators, which means this is not the only video on decorators I'm making. To understand decorators deeply, all you need to do is follow along with me and write the programs which I'll be writing in this video, because that way the concept will sink in your mind. So let's begin the video. Before you even know what decorators are, you should know a few things about the functions in Python. So functions are objects in Python. Actually, everything in Python is an object. So when functions are objects, it implies that they can be assigned or stored in a variable. That's point number one. Point number two is functions can also be passed as arguments to another function. Yes, that's another feature. If you have seen code containing map or reduce functions, then inside them you might have seen either named or anonymous functions performing different operations. So this was point number two. Point number three is a function can return another function in Python. That's another feature that should be crystal clear to you. The function which is written inside a function is called a nested function. Alright, so it's a bit of a theory that I'm telling you here. How about we do a little hands-on to understand these 3 points? I told you about functions. Let's switch to Pycharm now and start writing the program. But before that, a humble request to you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it already, and hit the bell icon, as that gives me the motivation to keep making tutorial videos like this for you. So first, you will be writing a function that is going to help you understand point number one. Point number one is functions in Python can be stored in a variable. So for that, you will write a function fixed deposit. So it will be def fixed underscore deposit, and I'll pass amount as an argument to this function. Then you are going to print a simple message which will display that amount. So it will be print within quotes fixed deposit of curly brackets is opened. But here you'll give format, within brackets you'll pass amount. Let's call this function now and see what it prints. So I'm going to type fixed deposit and I'm going to pass 10,000 as the amount. Let's run it and check what it prints. So it prints the message a fixed deposit of 10,000 is opened. This small program is working fine. Now you are going to assign this function to a variable and use that variable to execute the functionality to prove that point number one works. So it will be fd followed by n equals to sign fixed deposit. That's it, no brackets. Finally, you are going to make use of this variable to pass the amount. So this time I'm going to pass 80,000 as the amount, as the fixed deposit amount. Now let's run this program and check what output it prints. There you go. It does work. Using the variable, we accessed the function fixed deposit, and this proves point number one, that function can be stored in a variable. Now let's move to understand the second point, which is passing the function as an argument. For that, I'll define two functions. So my first function would be debit underscore card, which will be accepting text as a parameter, and it is going to simply print a message curly brackets needs a debit card, and this curly brackets will be replaced by the value which will be passed into the parameter text. So I'll write text over here. That's it. And I'll create another function which will be credit card. So I'm going to copy and paste this function over here, and I'll simply replace debit with credit. Over here I'm going to do the same. Now I'm going to create another function, the third function, that is going to indeed accept function as its argument. So it will be def, and I'll call it card underscore dpt, and this is going to accept function as an argument. So that function, I am denoting it by this string func. So over here inside this function, I'm going to simply pass Joey as the text value. Don't worry if you are getting confused, I'll explain you each and everything. Now coming over here in the main function, I'm going to call this function card underscore dept. But before that, to avoid confusion, I'm going to comment out the existing lines of code of point 1. So I'll call this function card underscore dept. As its parameter, I have to pass a function. So I can pass either this function or this function. So first I'll pass debit underscore card, and on the next line of code I'm going to again call card underscore dpt, and this time I'm going to pass the function credit underscore card. So what will happen when this line of code gets executed? The execution will go inside this function, inside the body of this function, and then depending on the function passed, which is debit card in this case, it is going to pass Joey as its parameter value. So in debit card, the parameter is text. So this text parameter is going to contain Joey, and then the execution is going to move within the body of this function debit card, and Joey needs a debit card will be printed. In the next line of code, same thing is going to happen with the credit card function. So the expected output is Joey needs a debit card for this line of code, and Joey needs a credit card for this line of code. Let's run the program and check what output the program is giving. So I'm going to click on the play button. There you go. The actual output matches the expected output. Now this point is a little tricky to understand if you are watching it for the first time. Let's do another example to help you understand it better. In this example, we are going to write 3 functions. So let's begin with the first function. So it will be def double. The parameter that is going to be passed to it will be num, and within its body we are going to write a return statement, after which we are going to write this expression. Let's define the next function, which will be triple. So the argument passed to it will be num, and within its body we are going to write 3 multiplied by num. Now the final function in this example, as a part of this example, will be amplify. So let's write it def amplify, and this is going to accept 2 parameters. The first parameter will be func, and then the second parameter will be num. The first line of code will be amp followed by an equals to sign, func, within which we'll be passing num, and the last line of code will be printing the value of amp. So what's happening here? These 2 functions are pretty much self-explanatory. The function double is returning twice the value passed to it through its parameter. The function triple is returning thrice the value passed to it as its argument. This function amplify is accepting 2 parameters. The first parameter is a function that is being passed to it, and the second parameter is a number that is being passed to it. In this first line of code, the parameter num is being passed to the function as its parameter. The function that this amplify function is accepting as its first parameter, you can see. So if I am passing double as its first parameter, as amplify's first parameter, then in this line of code, this num parameter will be passed as an argument to the double function. Now since the function double is returning a value and the function triple is returning a value, that returned value we are accepting over here in this variable, and the same variable we are printing over here. Now in the main function, Let's call this function. So I'm going to first comment these two lines of code out to avoid any kind of confusion. And over here, I am going to call amplify, within which I'm going to pass the function as double as its first parameter and then a value 4. Let's see what output it gives. There you go. It has doubled the value passed to it. Let's pass triple over here as the first parameter of the amplify function and check what value it gives. So the expected value is 12. Let's see if it gives 12. There you go. It returns 12. And this is the demonstration of how we can pass a function as an argument to another function. Let's now understand the third point, which is a function can return another function in Python. For that, you will create a function which you will call bank, and it will accept the bank underscore name as its parameter. Within this function, you are going to create a nested function or an inside function, which you are going to call branch. So def branch, and this is going to accept branch name as its argument. Within the body of the branch function, you are going to write a message. So it will be print, then bank name, colon. You are going to introduce the parameter over here, which will be bank name plus branch name. And you will pass the parameter over here to print the branch name. Let's give a space over here so that it doesn't look odd when it gets printed on the console. In the next line, you are going to write return branch. So branch is a function that exists within the main function bank. Now let's call this function bank in the main function. So first I am going to comment this out to avoid any kind of confusion, and then I am going to write a followed by an equals to sign bank, and let's give any bank. So I'm going to create a fictional bank and I'll call it orbit. Now this line of code will return the branch function to the variable a. And in the first point, we discussed how we can store a function in a variable. So in the next line of code, you are going to write a, and within brackets, you are going to pass the branch name. So let's call it Marine Drive branch. So using this line of code, you are calling the inside function, which is branch, and passing the branch name as its parameter. Since there is a printf statement within the body of the inside function, hence we need not print anything over here. Let's run the program and check what output it gives. So I'm going to hit the play button. There you go. It says bank name orbit, branch name Marine Drive branch. So you just saw how a function can return another function in Python. Bank function returns the branch function. This is what I wanted to show you. Now these 3 points were the prerequisites to understand the decorators. You will now be able to understand them much faster. So let's understand decorators using an example. If you buy a gift for someone, then before gifting it to someone, you decorate it by gift wrapping it using a matte finish shining paper so that it looks more beautiful. So your function, your Python function is a gift, and decorator is its gift wrap. Decorator extends the functionality of your Python function without permanently modifying its functionality. Decorator is a very powerful and useful feature in Python, so make sure you understand it well, and to understand it well, I recommend you watch this video till the end and you code along with me the program that I'm going to code now. So let's move to Pycharm and start creating the program. Here I am back in Pycharm. Let's first create the main function. So I'll type main and Pycharm is going to do the rest of the work for me. Now we'll create an ordinary function. So it will be def my car. I'm going to call it my car, within which I'm going to print the car I like the most, and it will be Ferrari. Now we'll create a decorator function. So it will be def, and I'll call it decorate my car, and this is going to accept a function as its parameter. Within this decorator function, we are going to create another function, a nested function, and we'll call it color. Within the body of this color function, we are going to print a message, and let's print red colored, and we are going to make use of a separator which will be space. Now after this line of code, I'm going to call the ordinary function that I'm going to pass in my decorator as its parameter. The final line will be to return this color function, which is the nested function. That's it. The decorator function has been created, the ordinary function has been created. Now let's call it. Let's make use of the decorator function. So I'll create a variable. I'll call it colored car, followed by an equals to sign. I'm going to call my decorate my car function, and I'll pass the my car function, which is my ordinary function. And then I'm going to call the colored car function. In this program, decorate my car is a decorator and my car is an ordinary function. In this line of code, you decorated the my car function, which returned the function named color in this variable colored car, and finally we are calling it in this line of code. So all the 3 points that we discussed a while ago have been used here. A returned function, that is color, is being stored in a variable. A function is being passed as an argument to another function, and we have also made use of a nested function. So now you understand why those 3 points were the prerequisites for understanding decorator. Now let's run this program and check what output it gives. It prints red colored Ferrari. See the magic? Ferrari is supposed to get printed within my car function, but using the decorator function, we have prepended red colored to this ordinary Ferrari. So this is the magic of decorator in Python. Now, the standard way is to keep the name of the variable which is storing the returned function and the ordinary function being passed as a parameter to the decorator the same. So this colored car can be written as my car, and over here we are going to call my car only. Let's see if this works. It's working. It's printing the same output, red colored Ferrari. To further simplify this particular line of code can be commented out or can be omitted. And instead of this line of code, the name of the decorator can be written on top of the ordinary function followed by an @ symbol. So it will be at decorate my car. This is going to work out in the same way. So what we are doing here, we are removing this line of code and we are replacing it by writing decorator name followed by an @ symbol on top of the function that we are passing inside the decorator that we want to decorate. Now by simply calling that ordinary function within the main function, it's going to work in the same way. Let's check it out. So I'm going to click on the play button. There you go. It still prints red colored Ferrari. Okay, let me replace red with yellow. And let's run this program again. There you go. You see, it prints yellow colored Ferrari. So this, my friend, is the standard style, or it's the standard way of writing the decorator code. With this, we have come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed learning the basics of decorator in Python. This is not the only video on decorators in Python on Joey's Tech. I recommend you watch all the other videos to develop a strong foundation in this powerful feature of Python. I look forward to helping you with Python programming, and only for this video. Goodbye.